Welcome back, everybody, to United vs. Everybody. I am your host, Sean, and I am again joined by Christian Eriksen's evil twin, Tristan Eriksen.
Better looking twin.
Better looking twin. How are you doing, Dylan? We are chilling with Dylan. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Sean?
Oh, living the dream, man. Just
Aren't
Michigan.
we
It's
all?
70 degrees last week, and it's snowing this morning, so we love it here in the Midwest.
Oh yeah.
And you're up in the tippy top up there, right? So you're just
Yep.
all sorts of,
It's
yes,
been cold and windy all weekend, so.
polar bears walking by.
hmm
Danny B in the house, another episode with Erickson. Can't wait. He's got the popcorn out. He's ready to go. Yes, and
Danny B, big
with
shout.
my PIC, man, this guy is also all over the scouting department. And anytime you guys have a question about some youngster playing in South America, Danny B's probably got a whole dossier ready to go, man. I need to get Dan. We need to do like a dedicated like youth transfer show and just have Danny B join on virtually and just kind of walk
That'd be
us through
cool.
some of the up and coming hidden gems so we can be the first channel to talk about it. So, Rob, as always, welcome.
How you doing,
Come on,
Rob?
yeah, Nighthead. I haven't even been watching any of these international games. I don't even know who's other than the whole Rasmus Højlund thing the other day. I mean, I haven't seen how anybody else is doing it. You've been watching it?
I've seen a few things. They've been doing all right.
Mm,
Bruno had a pretty good match. I don't that Hoyland game didn't score, but he set some nice
yeah,
things up.
interesting.
I'm trying to think of who our other some of our other internationals are out there, but yeah, I haven't really been paying attention with March Madness being on. So
Oh yeah, yeah. You're a
yeah,
basketball guy.
yeah.
I never got in as one of the like literally. I played basketball for like a year when I was like 10, and I played a lot in college with my roommates just
hmm
for shits and gigs. It's just never one I could
Yeah.
that and baseball. I just can't watch for some reason. I never got into it. I'll watch golf before I watch baseball. I love playing baseball. I
Yeah.
just can't watch it.
Yeah,
It's so
I
boring.
don't blame you.
Going to a game is just like that's your whole day. Like you
Yep.
don't get anything else ever. Like doing it's like re-landscaping your front lawn. You're like, well, there's my weekend. We're good there.
Yep.
But yes, you guys, welcome back to the channel. Sorry, Dylan and I just had a fun little chit chat. It's been a minute since I've seen Dylan, so it's nice to catch up. But we are chilling with Dylan once again to reflect on the last dozen or so years since the GOAT, Sir Alex Ferguson, retired from United. So we already took a look at some of the managers who have tried and failed to fill those mighty shoes. We did rank those guys based on how both Dylan and I kind of felt each of them performed during their time on the touchline. So go ahead and be sure to check out that video if you haven't yet done so. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments on that. But that was a fun video. It was interesting to see. We were pretty much neck and neck until those final two, huh?
Yeah. And that's kind of what I thought when looking at it. Like first few, you can kind of see like Moy is definitely just
Yeah, yeah.
way in over his head. But yeah, that was a great video. I love doing that one. That's why when you asked me to come on this one, I'm like yes, 100 times yes here, man. Let's get after it, and this will be fun. So
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you coming by. I know you're busy. You got a lot going on. Obviously, traveling this weekend. You guys, I sent Dylan like a list. These are some of the topics that I'm looking to do for some of these international breaks, and just if you're interested and you want, just let me know which ones. And so these are the fun ones. Wanted to pack this couple weeks full of content. Today, though, we are going to shift focus to the players that we've brought to the club since Sir Alex retired. Our post Ferguson signings, if you will. So before you dip out, we're not going to every single one. That would take a very long time.
you
But
guys
Dylan
ready
and
for the
I,
4 hour extravaganza? Here we
yeah,
go.
we'll turn it into a charity stream and just go for it. So no, we're just Dylan and I have chosen our top five post for Fergie signings, and we're gonna go through those today. We're gonna share some of those today. So we're gonna dive into that, talk a little bit about some of the news that's popped up. And first up, though, big up to the women's team. They beat Aston Villa 4-0 yesterday. Elizabeth Turlin was on fire. A couple goals. Galton and Clinton got on the goals as well. So big up the women's team, always holding down the fort. I know the women's team is a touchy subject for some people. For some people just don't like Mark Skinner. I guess I don't know why, but um, it is what it is. But I mean, I watch the women's team now and then. I know that we've got a packed week once starting like this weekend and going into next week. It's women's team, under 21s, under 18s, first team. It's like a game every day almost. So I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, big up the women's team. Like the video, you guys. Subscribe if you are new. We are on the road to 3K. And if you like these videos, if you like these kind of fun topics and you think you've got a better idea for one, check the memberships to learn how you can get more involved in that capacity. So let me jump back in to the chat and catch up, and then I will get into the transfer news. And of course, on cue, Danny says, I've got two wingbacks in Denmark and Mexico and Chile. Nice. He's got that scout going. Rob says, I enjoys Wales versus Kazakhstan. Interesting.
Yeah, apparently that one was a good one. I didn't
Interesting.
get to
Yeah.
see it, but I saw some of the aftermatch report, and they're like, it was quite the match.
Interesting. Yeah. I just can't get into it. I don't know. It's just, I'm worried that if I watch it, I might see somebody from United get injured or something. So I'm trying to avoid it and just
Yep.
pretend it doesn't happen. So Jay, welcome back. If we'd kept Cavani prior to when we were on scavenger hunt for a striker and then we got Veghorst, we'd have been in a much better place. Well, Cavani is always an interesting one. I think that um, signing Ronaldo kind of shook that whole thing up, taking away the number 7 and what I liked Cavani.
Me too.
I thought if we still had him when we got Hoyland, I think Hoyland might even look a lot different than he does now as well.
Yeah.
But I think where's Cavani at Boca now? Is that where he's
Yeah.
playing? Interesting. There's a couple of another player we might discuss today is at Boca. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Um, so starting with a bit of news, because apparently we have all time traveled back to 2020. As journalist Lee Ryder reports that United are interested in Newcastle midfielder Sean Longstaff. So apparently we've time traveled today. We've hit 88 miles per hour, 21 gigawatts, and we have jumped back in time. Ryder is a Newcastle writer, though, so it's not exactly as if he's unbiased. I remember when we were linked with Sean Longstaff a while back. Didn't he score a goal against us when Jose was in charge?
Yeah.
Interesting. Everton are linked to. Honestly, I think he's entering the final year of his contract. I think they recently extended his contract by a year. They activated a 1-year clause,
Hmm.
so kind of sounds like we're being used a little bit. Nothing new there to either drive a new contract wages up or drive a price up. Similar to Sergio Ramos all those years ago. But what are your thoughts? And Longstaff, any thoughts? Are you taking this seriously? Anything at all?
Now it seems like we were talking about before. Every year, every couple months, somebody mentions, "Well, Longstaff United are looking at him."
Yeah.
I mean, it just comes up all the time, or at least, like I said, I have nothing there. Like I don't really know where he would fit anyway.
It
So
just, yeah,
yeah,
even if we were heavily linked, it's just one of those positions where I'm like, we've got youngsters. Like, we've
yeah,
got a lot of midfielders that I think could come in.
yeah,
If he's just going to rotate too, because who is he forcing out of the starting 11? I don't think
exactly,
so. If we're just going to
exactly.
have a rotation option, a squad option, just promote one of the kids. Sekou Kone,
Yeah.
Morehouse, Fredrickson, all these guys. So, um, what we got going on? Rob's Kazakhstan brought on a 16-year-old who looked real good, but I think Chelsea, of course, Chelsea own a minor. Interesting. They own a small child. Danny's got himself a new icon here. Rodrigo Heskas at Copenhagen, 21-year-old right back. Excellent with both feet, 95% pass success rate, intense and excellent work rate. 3 caps with Mexico. Interesting.
Sweet.
Interesting. Well, I'll check him out, man.
Yeah.
At FC Copenhagen. You guys know I do love looking at Belgian, Denmark leagues and stuff and seeing what's out there. There are a lot of, obviously, we've been linked to that Lammens keeper for a while now. A couple other players out in the Belgian. You guys know how I feel about Arden Yashari, too. If I talk about him anymore, it's going to get awkward. Justin getting involved. Good morning, Justin. Hope you are doing well, my friend. Enjoying this weather while you're driving around. Dario Osario, right wing back, left footed player, good passing, 21-year-old, 6 foot 21-year-old at FC Midtjylland. We all remember FC Midtjylland, don't we?
Yeah.
Certain young attacker getting his debut and scoring. Um, Justin, big up. So yeah, Sean Longstaff, I'm calling bullshit, but we will see. We also got some fresh links to a young striker that we've been linked to in the past. I remember mentioning him a couple months back, but this is 17-year-old Charalampos Kostoulas, about as Greek as you can get. Plays for Olympiakos, again, about as Greek as it can get.
Hmm.
This is coming from Greek writer Giannis Chorianopoulos. Again, just all sorts of Apollises today. But apparently Olympiacos don't want to sell. So again, we've been linked to this kid, but in the past, I don't. And we have Cheeto. I don't really understand why we are linked with the 17-year-old, but got. I don't write it, guys. I just let it. I just read it to you guys. A
He,
player.
he
Go ahead.
because he'd probably go to Forest anyway, because I think the Forest owner owns Olympiacos too. So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
interesting. Forest might be without Chris Wood when we play them on
hey,
this weekend. So
that could be big.
could be helpful. He went off. I
Yeah.
think he played. I think he represents New Zealand. I think he went off in
Hmm.
the first half or something yesterday. So one player we will not probably be bringing back to the club though is Alvaro Carreras Fernandez, who I know is probably going to be a sore subject. So coming from Ojogo, they report that Atletico Madrid are planning to move forward with their plans to sign Alvaro. And Dylan and I were chatting a little bit beforehand. I think that was Dorgu, Diego Leon, and then Harry Amos getting his debut the other day. I don't think that the left hand side is something we're going to be actively looking to strengthen any further anytime soon. Dylan, your thoughts? You bummed about that, or you just it
Yeah,
is what it is? Did you make your piece already?
yeah. I wanted him to come back. I thought there after he had some loan spells, things like that, when we saw him in the preseason last year. I
Yeah,
think. Um,
maybe the year before.
yeah, maybe year before. I mean, he looked good. He looked like he had energy. He was going to bring pace, and then we sent him to La Liga, and is what it is. But like you said,
No.
Dorgu's there, Amos is there. Okay, we're going to be set in that position for a while. And like you said, it's a 50% sell on clause, so that can be used for some funds.
Yes, we do get a 50% sell on clause if he does end up moving. Now we have the buyback clause as well if we want to do that, which is like 16 million. But again, sell on clause could be more. It just depends. So we will get cash either way. So
We can just use that
and
money to get Angel Gomez back.
I mean, he's free. We don't even have to spend money on him. We just bring him back, pay a little bit of a bonus and stuff. I mean, I almost featured him in my summer
Mm-hmm.
budget rebuild, but I ended up. I think Yashari's better personally. Plus, I mean, I have a weird rule where I don't like to look at multiple players from the same team. I think that I find it hard to believe that that's going to happen. But hey, we did it with Ajax, so why not? Danny says we are scouting both those youngsters that he mentioned. Interesting.
Sweet.
Interesting. All right. So no Alvaro. Let me know how you guys feel about that in the chat. Another young attacker that we just keep getting linked to attackers right now. So this is coming from Graham Bailey. He's been very vocal this morning online, mentioning a lot of players and linking us to him. This is another 17-year-old. He represents Greece as well, but he plays in the Belgian league for Genk. This 17-year-old attacker, Konstantinos Karetskas. Never heard of this kid before in my life.
But he's
Um,
Greek.
Apparently, he's Greek. He scored. He scored. Well, I don't know if he is Greek, but he represents Greece. I think he
Mm-hmm.
just got his passport. But
Gotcha.
apparently, he scored for them last night on international duty, making him their youngest goal scorer in history, Greece. So interesting. We know he'll probably go to Chelsea.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's just the way Chelsea work, man. Todd Bowley. If there's ever a club that makes us look good in terms of just a plan, it's got to be Chelsea because
Yeah.
they're messed up. But and then finally, a little bit of transfer news here. Simon Mullock with the Mir claims United are looking at sporting attacker Francisco Trincao and are willing to spend 30 million for him. I like Trincao. I liked him when he was at Braga. Just doesn't. He didn't really pull up any trees when he was at Wolves. I feel like he looks. I mean, I don't even remember anything he did when he was on loan at Barca. He just looks like another player who, during his time at Wolves, wasn't really suited to the league. Obviously, he's doing pretty decently at Sporting this season. Do you remember Trincao at all from when he was at Wolves?
I remember the name, but I really don't remember much of note that he did. So I really hope that's just one of them trying to get some more money. Nothing really like solid
Yeah,
on. So
30 million. Yeah, I don't. Again, we don't need more. I mean, we're going to be losing Anthony, Sancho, Rashford. I get it, but I feel like we've just got enough in the academy right now that I
oh
think
yeah,
will be. And he'd probably play in one of those 10 roles. I can't see him playing as a wing back at all. So,
well we're going to need some defense and midfield help before that,
oh
especially if
yeah,
we can get some academy attackers to come up. So I'd rather
I
do that first.
I agree. Yeah, we've got other priorities right now. We went through that whole thing under Ollie,
Hmm.
and even under Ten Hag, where we like Ollie came in and bought and pursued Sancho, but he already had Ahmad, he already had Palestri, and we had Elanga and stuff. I don't know why we. And then the following year, Ten Hag got Anthony. Like we spent 170 million on two right wingers right off the bat, and I'm like, we don't need to be doing that.
No.
Jay says Sporting did say they plan on keeping Emio. Yeah, I doubt Sporting are going to want to lose too many of their players. They're obviously Quenda. They're still going to keep Quenda for another year. A lot of people linked with Inacio. A lot of people linked with Hjulman as well. Obviously, Gyökeres could be a big miss for them. So I feel like strikers, there's going to be a bit of a striker domino effect this summer between Osimhen, Gyökeres, Šeško. Obviously, Jonathan David, you guys remember I mentioned him. He was my pick for striker in my summer bargain video the other day, free agent. Then he says, and Mbuemo is a man we need to play right 10, false 9, or right wing back. Yeah, Mbuemo's having a very good season. And like you
I'd
said,
love to sign him. I just don't think – I think he's going to be priced out for us.
well, I think it was like 50, 60 million. Saw us linked with Semenyo recently as well at Bournemouth. Plays the system that we play at Bournemouth as well. Danny says Premier League experience. Yeah. Prem experience helps. I think that people forget that Gyökeres had English football experience. I like Hayden Hackney. There's something to be said for just having, being used to the league. Speaking of Sancho, though, like we were just talking about, we got a rumor weeks ago that Chelsea were considering paying a penalty to get out of their obligation to buy Jadon Sancho. Now, David Ornstein yesterday has added a little bit more to this story. He claims that Chelsea will have to pay £5 million if Jadon Sancho, if his loan is not made permanent, if they don't stick with that obligation. What's the point of calling it an obligation to buy if you get out of it for super cheap? It's like, that's ridiculous. It should be at least like 15 million penalty to get out of that. Because now you're just like, well, we pay basically a loan fee. So the obligation is worth up to 25 million. Obviously, we've already got a little bit of a bonus. I'm thinking of Rashford. We got a little bit of bonus from Rashford for Aston Villa going through. But if you notice, though, from Sancho, we haven't really seen any freedom social media posts recently from him. He's not really been super vocal. No goals, though, since early December, and just one assist more than 2 months ago. That'll do that to you. That'll silence you real quick. What are your thoughts on Sancho, Dylan?
He's just not. He's kind of like Anthony. He's not a Premier League player. There's a player there. We've seen him in spells at Dortmund, and I think the Bundesliga would be good for him. I think the league fits him, his style better, how he plays. But I mean, that's two clubs in the Premier League that have taken chances on him, and he's kind of basically, with us, he spat in our faces with all the stuff that they did to try to help him. And then with Chelsea, they gave him a lifeline, and he can't get it going. So, yeah, he needs to be moved on somewhere else.
Sancho's biggest problem is his attitude.
Yep.
And I don't just mean the social media stuff. I mean, even if you come in and you realize the Premier League is maybe just a little much, like it's a challenge. It's not as easy as the Bundesliga. Like your attitude, what's your attitude when it comes to meeting that challenge? Are you gonna adapt your game? Are you going to challenge yourself to reach new levels with fitness and aggression and resilience or whatever that is, or not? Are you just going to kind of take? He strikes me as a kind of person who's fine when things are easy, or going his way, but then when they're not, it's always somebody else's fault. And you just can't have that kind of an attitude at a club. It's infectious, and it's a shame too, because with a better attitude, how he plays. His quality, like you said, his quality is there. He would be excellent as one of these 10s in Ruben
100%.
Amorim's system. I see him as almost the same as like a Cherke. He can't hang, and it's unfortunate. I think the bridge is burned though for a lot of United fans. I mean, it probably is for me as well. What's Danny say? Ridiculous how embarrassing for Sancho. I mean, if you're gonna go hard with the social media posts and stuff, you got to be able to back it up. Otherwise, you just look like an idiot. Rob says Sancho needs to keep his freedom. I've been waiting for someone to do like some Braveheart memes or something with Sancho. Someplace put some face paint on him and just cry freedom. But it is what it is.
Maybe that's the ultimate level of shame and embarrassment, is that people just forgot about him. He's not even relevant anymore.
Yeah, he's gonna. Yeah, I don't know. Would you take the 5 million if Chelsea don't want to exercise that, and then maybe try to find another buyer in the summer? Or would you push for them to? I mean, if they can, like, how does that work? They just choose not to. Like, we can't have a say in that.
I mean, I guess that's how if it's how the contract's written. Like if they say we're going to pay the 5 million and break the obligation. I mean, if that's how the contract's written, it's in stone like that, I guess. But I mean, I'd rather get the 25 because I'm not sure his value is going to be that high on some of the other if we try to ship him out.
Yeah, it's very weird. I don't contracts are starting to get frustrating because it just feels more and more like they're not worth the paper they're printed on.
Yeah,
It's not like the NFL or something where it's just you're just there, like that's it. But
yeah,
you're getting paid a lot more though in some of these other leagues in America. So it is what it is. But that's why these tickets for these games, like people complain about. Like I'm not saying I agree with a lot of the ticket raises, but I was thinking about it the other day. If you think of how much it costs to go to a game at Old Trafford compared to how much it costs to go to like the worst American sports teams, like normal season game, like
mm-hmm.
easily you're paying like three times as much to go to like a horrible baseball game or a horrible NFL game as you would to go to a Premier League game.
For terrible seats.
Yeah, it's like you guys, people in the UK, people in Manchester, you've got it great. Try to go to a freaking Pistons game or a Lions game and come complain about freaking ticket prices and stuff. Like I said, I don't agree with it, but I'm like, you guys, it costs. I went to a crappy Tigers game once, like 15 years ago, and it was so expensive.
Oh yeah,
And like, and it's so bad with baseball because, like we were saying before we went live, like you almost they're so long, but it's almost like these Hobbit movies where you're like, well, I'm invested. I gotta stay here for the full fucking 9 hours of this shit. Really stretched, or like going to Mongolian barbecue and you're like, I'm gonna get 3 bowls. I'm not that hungry, but I paid this much. I gotta
mm-hmm.
stretch it out and get my money's worth. um, what we got here, people in chat. Danny says sell Sancho to Nice for 15 mil. Um,
He'd
I
probably
don't
do
know
well
what
in the French league.
he would do well. I think he'd probably. I mean, maybe we could offer him to Lille or something and get this Jonathan David deal wrapped up
Oh,
sooner
I'd
than
take that in
later.
a heartbeat.
Or there's that young Haraldson kid that we were looking at too. Rever, welcome back, Rever. Been a minute. Sadly, I reckon
I
Sancho
do,
will
man.
see his year out, then leave on a free in 2026. If we have to be stuck with Sancho for a year and then he leaves for free, that'll go up there as one of our worst pieces of transfer business ever, man. What is it with wingers in this Premier League? Nicola Pepe, Antony, Jadon Sancho, like these guys were so expensive, and they just Modric. Like I've never looked at Modric since Chelsea paid big for him, and was like, this guy looks the real deal. He's quick. That's literally it. He's got a stupid ass butterfly tattoo on his neck. What is that about either? That's weird looking. He looks like a alternative guitarist from like the early 2000s or something. Weird looking. Like, did I see you in Limp Bizkit? I think I saw you in Limp Bizkit. Limp Bizkit is a new metal band from the late 90s, early 2000s for all of you who are not as old as I am. Rob says FFP and rules seem to be different for Chelsea. They just keep selling hotels. And you remember, like, the women's team and the academy don't impact you as far as FFP and PSR goes. So, no, you're good, bro. Danny says regular Celtics games cost you $300. Yeah, freaking yeah. So that's I'll
Yeah,
go. You could easily go to like 6 or 7 United games for how
yeah.
much it's going to cost to go to one of these other games. It's a little insane. Um, let's see. Rever says thoughts on David. Heard he scored against USA last night. Well, I don't watch the international games, but if you guys have been watching the channel, you know I love Jonathan David. You know he was my pick the other day when I went through my summer rebuild. Did that on a budget and honestly had money to spare because that's how good I am. But that's okay. uh,
I'm hearing
eh,
reports from Europe that you're in line to be the new sporting director for United
dude,
because they watched your video. So,
I am not even like joking. I would do so much like more in 10 weeks than this club has done in 10 years.
oh yeah,
I would have us back in the positive for PSR within one summer transfer window. I would like the video I did that I had 6 players and I spent like 125 million.
mm-hmm.
Um, and that's like the start of a rebuild. Give me one more summer after that, and we'll be challenging for shit. I guarantee you that. We're gonna jump in now, you guys. As Danny B says, hit that like button on the way in for me. See, subscribe. We are now jumping into the nitty gritty stuff. You guys know we like to kind of ease into a little bit of foreplay as before we dive into the good stuff here. That's the way to do it, you guys. Just keep that in mind moving forward. Don't go too fast.
Don't skip the foreplay.
Family show. So we're here to talk about signings because we've made a lot. We've signed a whopping 65 players since Sir Alex stepped down in 2013, spending more than 1.6 billion pounds during that period as well. That's insane. Here's a little snapshot of who we have brought in during that time, and this is not even including loans or players who really didn't play, like Lee Grant or something. It didn't include guys like that. But obviously, there's no Sabitzer, no Veghorst, no Igalo in there. But 65 players we have signed. So again, no Lee Grant. So if anybody did have Sadie Janko or Lee Grant on their list, they're not on the list. Sorry. Still, there's about 53 names there of the 65 that we brought to this club, and to me, when I look at that, I mean, I don't know what you guys think. When I look at that, I see a gross mismanagement of funds.
Mm-hmm.
I see a clear lack of any structure, any identity, any plan. But this was the result of all that. We're just buying for each manager, overpaying for things. Are there any names that I might have forgotten? And there's a lot there.
I mean, just going through that list, there were names I forgot about. So
Yeah, right. I mean, I forget we had Victor Valdez for a
yeah.
bit sometimes. Forgot all about that. I remember him getting exiled for a
Mm-hmm.
minute. Schweinsteiger, I think a lot of people forget we had Schweinsteiger. Schneiderlin, I remember that whole
Oh
Schneiderlin,
yeah.
Schweinsteiger, the shishna summer. Or Schnagglebutts, as my wife calls Schneiderlin because she can never remember what his name is. Um, she would hear me play like FIFA, and like she would hear Schneiderlin's name in the background. She'd be like, Schnagglebutts. Like, yep, you sports, good job. Um, Danny says, what a waste.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Danny says, Bruno definitely number one. I mean, he's probably number one for most people. Whoever says a lot of flops on that list. There are quite a few names on that list that you could easily say just did not work. Obviously, some good ones, though. We're going to talk about some of our favorites, though. As Rever says, overpaid for a lot. Not just transfer fee, but wages too. Yeah, we did
Oh,
that.
100%.
So with that overwhelming list of players in mind, let me take this off the screen here. We before we look at our favorite signings, why don't we share our least favorites? Somebody, when I mentioned this the other day, someone mentioned, "Oh, you should do a least favorites," and I thought it was a little mean to do a whole video on 3 least favorite signings. I think that would probably not look great for a lot of them. But so whether it's a return on investment thing or maybe just they just are bad players, try to get your thoughts in the comments or the chat because Dylan and I are going to share our 3 players to start who we think have been our worst since Sir Alex retired. Remember, there's not really any wrong answers, just like the manager thing. It's just who do you think has been our worst? So I would challenge you, though, not to include loanees or like academy players who just didn't work out that maybe just played for like a day or something. So, Dylan, why don't you get us started with your 3
All
worst
right.
players?
Working from least worst to most worst, I have number 3 being Anthony.
Mm,
Um, Mostly because of his wages. I mean, had we signed him like we've talked about this before, had we signed him for 30 million,
yeah.
that changes the whole dynamic how we look at him. He growing into the role, he's going to get better. He's a young player, but signing him for 80 million, you know, and then the start didn't help either. 3 goals in 3 games, and then just the drop off.
Yeah.
The lack of a right foot, the petulance we saw at some points with being asked to play in defense and him giving a lot of attitude out there. That didn't look good. And I mean, 12 goals and 5 assists over 96 matches is not a great return
No.
for what he's doing. Now he's like we've talked about this before. He's at Betis. He's kind of found his league that he'll do well at. La Liga is a great flair league for him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's my no, my first worst signing, and really a lot of it's because of the wages. He worked hard on defense and he put in a shift, but it never translated to the league.
Yeah, no, I agree. Anthony's definitely on my list as well. Obviously, I don't blame him so much for the fee. I don't even blame Ten Hag for the fee because it's not like Ten Hag is involved. When Ten Hag identified him, like you were saying, in like June, he was
Mm-hmm.
one price, but then when the powers that be wait till August, Ajax were like, sorry,
80
pay
million.
more than twice or you're not getting them. And then and then it's a shit situation for Ten Hag because now he's in a situation where he's like, oh hey Eric, sorry, you either can't get him or we have to pay more than twice as much, and you don't get anyone else.
Yep.
So, and by then it's mid-August anyway, and I'm like, this is the kind of shit that our managers have to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah, Anthony's up there. It's funny though because it's like we talk about all the time. He's got no right, but most of the good things he's done have been off his right foot.
I know, and it's frustrating because when he uses it, he looks good, but he just doesn't use it enough.
Yeah, I think he like his goal against Barcelona to knock them out
Oh
of
yeah,
the Europa League, which is the goal that sent Justin and I to that Real Betis game that first time we went. Goal against Liverpool in the quarterfinal last year as well, which was my favorite match of the year
mm-hmm.
last year.
That was great.
He even had some decent crosses. Like, he just forgets he has it. I think what happened with Anthony's, he got found out early on that trickery is not enough, and then he just kind of realized it's too hard to up my physical level. And
Yep.
Amorim has even said like it's the physicality. So like you're saying, I think he did find his level in Spain. Again, it's like not every league is cut out. We've seen it with
Yeah.
Sancho as well. It just is what it
Yeah.
is. But
100%.
Rob, yeah, everyone's getting their picks in.
Yeah.
Alexis Sanchez, yeah. So Anthony's on my list. Sancho's probably one of mine as well, one of my three. As someone else said over here, like Danny said, it's least favorite. Yeah, Sancho is another one though. I think very similar to Anthony, just
Yep.
high fee. We chased him for. I think the fact that we chased him for over years probably
Yeah.
makes it even worse. Big wages, and then it would be one thing to say, okay, we paid a lot for him, and like Anthony's not cut out for this league. It is what it is. But then his attitude just makes it that much worse as
Yeah.
well. The fact that Ten Hag got called a bully was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ten Hag sent him away to help him get his head right. He tried him in multiple. I was at that Southampton match when we tried to play like a 3-man midfield and we had Sancho playing as an 8. He tried, and just Sancho just can't do it. So so far we got Anthony. Who was your second pick?
My second pick was Alexis Sanchez.
Alexis Sanchez. Yeah, I think Rob agrees with you. Alexis flopped big time. That was
Oh
such
yeah.
a weird transfer because it was the only time I can remember having like a straight swap.
Yeah.
And I think we definitely,
Mkhitaryan for Sanchez. I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
I think we
I
got
mean,
the worst
I
end of
thought he'd do
that.
better, but
Yeah,
yeah.
he the whole announcement video was just kind
Oh
of
yeah.
set the tone for what that was going to be like. The guys coming and playing piano and stuff. I was like, what are we doing? Like, I'm sure and then obviously there's some famous quotes of his when he showed up and he realized just like the level of difference. He wanted to go back to Arsenal.
Oh yeah.
It just looked like he just kind of like when Ronaldo came back, he was just like, what is this? Like, this club is not serious. So I don't blame Alexis that much, but again, it just felt like a Di Maria in terms of he just didn't really ever look like he wanted to be here.
No.
And so it is what it is. It's too bad because we got him probably a couple years later than I would have liked to have seen him come into the club. But so Anthony, we both have Anthony. I've got Sancho. You've got Alexis Sanchez. Who's your third?
My top one, the one that I think was Sancho. So.
Sancho was your top. All right. Yeah, mine is Mason Mount.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's just, for all these, like the worst signings, whether take your pick when it comes to reasons for some of these players, costs, wages,
Yep.
poor ROI, not a priority at the time for like Anthony and Sancho and even Mason Mount. Like we didn't need those players. It doesn't make sense. And then Mount's case, the injuries have just made, and I don't blame him for injuries, but it's like, as a club, can you not look ahead of that and see what his injury risk record was and say maybe don't spend 60 million on this guy,
Exactly.
or just wait till he's free and do that? Like, I don't understand.
The following year,
Yeah, it didn't make sense. What else we got? Jay says that Memphis. I remember Memphis he was such a world beater at PSV, and then we got him, and then it was just for Memphis. I think it was a case of wrong manager at the wrong time.
Yeah.
He's a flair player. When you come in for Louis van Gaal and then you get stuck with Jose right after that, it was just the writing was on the wall there. And I think it was a little too early for him to get a number 7 shirt and come to United personally.
Yeah,
but,
he was too young to really handle all that.
Yeah. Jay threw out Di Maria. Yep, that's a shout. Di Maria's numbers were actually pretty good that season. It's just one of those he just never wanted to be here. Pogba is a shout, I feel. Not
definitely.
necessarily because of quality. Obviously, he was injured a lot more than I think people realize, Pogba. But I think for me, the debacle of the Pogba United saga of we let him go for free when he was young. We paid a record fee to bring him back, and then we let him go for free again. I was just like this. We're just trolling at this point as a
Yeah.
club, trying to just make ourselves look like absolute idiots.
Hmm.
Jay says, I like Falcao. I liked Falcao when we signed him, but it was always a risk after he came back from that long term injury.
Yeah.
And he just, another one, like he went to Chelsea. You forget he went to Chelsea after United, and he just didn't look like he was doing much at Chelsea either. I think he went to Monaco after that, if I remember correctly.
Monaco, and then he was in Turkey at some point because he came
Was he?
back in one of the Europa
Interesting.
League matches. So
Interesting. I did not know that. I can't remember. Danny says, we got 90% of our transfers wrong for over a decade. No wonder we're in such a mess right now. And this is the
yep.
shit, Danny, that I keep trying to remind people of when they complain about Ineos. And I'm like, it's a culmination of a dozen years of this kind of stuff. No, how many of these players are at the club anymore?
Yep.
Like, this is, and how many of these players we lost for free? Like, Ander
Hmm.
Herrera, for free. Pogba,
For
free.
free.
Di Maria, we didn't make any money on Di Maria. Like, it's ridiculous. Danny's three are Mount, Sanchez, and Sancho the worst. Yep. So pretty much, yeah. Di Maria was a good shout. Whoever put that in there. Box, big up, Box. How you doing,
How you doing,
man?
Box?
Um, Jay says I never liked Fellaini. Fellaini, I feel like gets a lot more stick than he deserves.
I always like the headers. Just throw it in the box and just throw. He's going to get something at least once
He's
a game. So
his chest control was probably the best. I would trust Fellaini to catch an infant with his chest and keep the infant safe. I would trust
nice.
him if I was in a burning building on the roof and had to jump, and Fellaini was waiting for me on the ground. I would jump, no questions asked, and I would expect him to catch me either in his majestic hair or off the chest. And then elbow somebody in the face
Yep.
afterwards because that's just what he did. Do you remember when he grabbed Gendouzi by the hair and
Uh
pulled him
huh.
down? I
That
didn't
was
even get
awesome.
mad. I just applauded. I stood and I applauded like people do at the movie theater for some reason. I never understood that. Why do people do that? Why do you clap at movies? I don't get it. Box says who we're getting on that, Box. That's the point today. But we wanted to get some of the worst signings out of the way first. Danny says that was an embarrassing signing, Felina. Yeah, it was embarrassing because it was deadline day for David Moyes, and we paid a lot of money for
Yeah.
Fellaini. That was David Moyes' only signing of the summer. Jose knew how to use him. Jose had him looking like a world beater. Just hoof it long, Fellaini will control it, and then he'll find another player. Um, it just didn't work out. We didn't really use him. Even David Moyes didn't really use him the way he was used at Everton, where he was a 10. He was somebody who was in and around that edge of that box, getting on
Hmm.
headers, causing problems. We just didn't use him very well. So boxes around 2012, 2013 era, if you'd said sign a player from each of the rival clubs, I would have selected the likes of RVP, Fellaini, Mata. Yeah, man, those are the good old days.
Right.
So yeah, those are the three worst. Dylan and I came over with the list. You guys obviously keep getting your thoughts, and we're going to move on to the best. So we each have five that we think over the last 12 or so years have been the best signings that we've made. I've got some honorable mentions in here. I think Dylan's got some honorable mentions as well. Players that were I rated, you rated, who didn't quite make the list, but we're going to throw them on there. So let me start with Dylan's honorable mentions, and then we'll kind of get into our list here. So hold on one second for me, y'all. There we go. All right, so here are your honorable mentions, Dylan. What was your thought process here?
So I looked number one, Ander Herrera. I wanted to throw on the list, but I wanted to give another guy a shout out who I thought kind of deserved it. So I saw you had him on yours, so I was like, okay, I'll throw him in my honorable mentions. But man, Ander, a consummate professional. I mean, he was one of the first people I thought of when we were doing best signings.
Mm-hmm.
Fought for the badge, put in a shift, box midfielder, did whatever you needed him to do. And I mean, I have right in my notes here. I mean, that hurt when he left because
Yeah,
we couldn't get a deal across. I mean, that hurt. Like that was part of he understood what United meant. And to lose that and basically let player power win with Pogba and everybody else, I mean
yeah,
that hurt. Ronaldo, more so. I mean, he caused a lot of drama. The Piers Morgan interview, I'll never forgive him for. But if you look, I mean, he had some good stats
Yeah.
um, on his second spell coming back. Two hat tricks, that Tottenham hat trick, Norwich hat trick. Um, and I do agree with some of the things he called out with the club, talking about how Carrington needed to be updated. Jose said the same thing. So I think just it didn't end well with Ronaldo, but he brought some things to light. He brought some spirit back to United, some fun times. I mean, that Newcastle win on his debut with the brace was awesome. But yeah, so those are my two honorable mentions for this list.
Yeah, Ronaldo, he like, and this is what I say about Hoyland. Like, Ronaldo's first season, great. Second season, not great.
Yeah.
Cavani's first season, great. Second season, not great. Most of our strikers we've signed have a really good first season,
Mm-hmm.
and then everybody tapers off. In the second half of that first season, Ronaldo actually led the Premier League in goals.
Mm-hmm.
And so what do you have, like 18 goals that first season he was
Yep.
here? Um, Obviously, he probably didn't want to play Europa League football, but it is what it is.
Yep.
I do think he kind of disrupted a lot, but if what's football without a little bit of romance, without a little bit of that nostalgia? And when I mean,
Exactly.
I was just as excited as the next United fan when we re-signed him. I was just as buzzing for that first match against Newcastle when he scored on his first match coming back. I mean, if you can't get excited about something like that, like even like yes, we knew what was going to happen the next year. Like I even if I did know about the Pierce Morgan stuff, you still can't ask me to not be excited and not enjoy those moments because I mean that's what we love. Danny says midfield has never been the same since Herrera left.
Oh yeah, it hasn't.
Um, Box agrees. Ronaldo honorable mention wasn't worth the hassle, but it's Ronaldo. The moments in the last 18 months, oh yeah, you have to be able to enjoy that a little bit. So Dylan's honorable mentions: Ander Herrera, Cristiano Ronaldo. Here are my honorable mentions. I know mine are a little boring. I feel like, but I mean, maybe Marcus Rojo is not boring. I can't lie. Like Marcus Rojo, I love those. I love the Argentinians. I love the fire that they got that
Mm-hmm.
dog in them. Marcus Rojo was an absolute fucking psychopath. He would go to
Oh yeah.
ground so much, and he still never got a red card for us. I think so. Um, I always had a little soft spot for Marcus Rojo. Like Casemiro. He's gonna do stupid shit, but just by the way his face looks, like he's got like the baby fat and stuff. He always looks like innocent. He's always just like I don't know. I had nothing but time for Marcus Rojo, man. And then I think he got in trouble at Boca for like going
Mm-hmm.
after fans or something in recent months. But I love what he brought to the team. I mean, he wasn't the best, he wasn't, but I have no problem with Marcus Rojo. And then Nemanja Matic, I feel like such an underrated
100%.
midfielder. So composed, so calm on the ball, just commanding. I mean, his goal against Palace was a thing of beauty. He wasn't the fastest, and I think people always use that as a stick to beat him with. But you don't have to be quick to play that holding midfield role. If you like Busquets, these guys aren't fast. Carrick wasn't fast, but if you're just composed, I've always said in that area of the pitch, that position, composure is probably the most important thing you need to have. And Matic was so composed. He was a leader too. He was the one. He said he gave
100%.
that interview. He and a couple of the other senior players had instituted that fine system for when players were late, and so like that's the kind of leadership
Okay.
we've been missing. And he even had a bit of that trickery too. I remember one of his like last season with us, he was nutmegging people in midfield and creating
Mm-hmm.
space for himself. And I'm like, go on, Matt. I think he's so good. I do miss Matic, man. He's been such a like Bach says, since the Fergie era, Matic has been the closest to a Fergie CM. Yeah, we kind
Yeah.
of knew when we signed Jose that Matic wasn't far behind.
Yeah. I thought he brought a lot for when he was there. He brought a nice calming presence in that midfield. One of my favorite memories for Matic is I forget, it was during Ole's period. I don't remember which one. We were up, and literally Ole's one direction was just go shit house just the whole
Yeah,
time. And so Matic is diving in and just causing product, and he just gets the card, doesn't even care, just yep, doing my job. It was like if you could have like a team player leader just do that, like sent such a strong positive message. So
yeah, and the leadership. I think his leadership goes under the radar a little bit
mhm.
too. I think most of it because a lot of the leadership was behind the scenes, like the dressing room stuff. So Agile Beast, welcome back. Haven't seen you in a minute. Rojo did have some good games, says Agile Beast. I just have a soft spot for Rojo. I don't even know how else to explain it. Um, so But those are honorable mentions. They just missed the cut for me and for you. But now we're going to dive into our picks. We were pretty much neck and neck for most of these. So I didn't bother making a separate list for the first couple. But starting with probably, let's get the most obvious one out of the way to start. And that's obviously Bruno, our Portuguese Magnifico. I mean, do I need to even like explain this one? I mean, do we really need to go into detail?
No.
I feel like he's been featured in a lot of my match reaction videos just for the stats. He's had what, like 8 goal involvements in his last 2 games before the
Hmm.
break. Do we need to? I mean, this is why like we could have saved him for last, but everybody knew it was coming. I thought we'll just flip the script
Oh
and
yeah.
get him out of the way early because this guy's been arguably our best signing since Fergie retired.
I would easily say he's the best. Just just with how I mean, just I was looking at some stats just 505 chances created since he's come in.
Yeah,
The
man.
most, and everybody talks about how De Bruyne is so good. Bruno's like
Bruno's
15 ahead
better.
of him. So
Bruno's better.
yeah,
Bruno's better. Like
yep.
we say, best United signing post. I would say he's been the best midfielder in the Premier League since we've signed him, and the numbers show you exactly why. Like
Uh huh.
I said it the other day. It's criminal that he hasn't won more trophies. It's criminal that he hasn't had more consistent attackers to work
Yep.
with the chances he creates and the big chances he creates. He like was leading the league for both chances and big chances for several seasons. He
Hmm.
was leading or like number 2 for 1 or 2 of those, but
Yep.
with better attackers, he could probably have double the assists and he'd be in shout for Ballon d'Or and whatnot. So
Oh yeah.
it is what it is. I hope it doesn't turn into like a Heung-min Son situation where he's kind of wasted a lot of the best years of his career at a struggling club. But we are thankful. We like, I forget a stat I saw the other day, like the amount of like points that have been won by players or something in this league. I think Bruno was up there for, I don't remember now off the top of my head, but the guy is just an absolute like magnifico. I got no other words for it. Lionheart's big up, man. Good to see you again.
I do,
So
man.
that is our big one. Just get him out of the way. Get the obvious one out of the way. Let me see what we got next year. Both of us had this young man on our list, Juan Mata. Obviously, I picked the best photo for the for the video. Um, so you had him on your list. I had him on my list. Again, Dylan and I didn't collaborate. I made my list. Dylan sent me his list. We just happened to have this. So um, you guys telling me
I
you
love
honestly
that.
believe Fernandez has been a better signing than Alex Tellez? Madness. Fox says Fernandez, Brian Robson esque. Hey, that's high praise.
That's a
High
huge shout
praise.
right there.
Better not let Roy Keane hear you say that. So why don't you tell me what your thought process is with putting Wanfield on your list here?
I mean, when I think of when they signed him, number one, I was excited. I was like, all right, we're getting great professional. He's going to come in. He's going to do the job. He's going to put his best foot forward, and he's gonna perform. And I don't know if I've ever seen him not perform. Now he may have had games where it didn't go as well,
Yeah.
but I mean he put in a shift. He could pick passes out for anybody. I mean, 51 goals in total, 34 goals, 27 assists in the league. Huge. A level of composure, a level of professionalism that was needed during that time period.
Hmm.
Unfortunately for him, I mean, he just, the team never really got built around him. I think when we signed him, like, he was like 27, something like that. He was right in his prime.
Yeah.
We could have, had we put a little more around him, he could have been like the Bruno of that period, I think. So,
Yeah. He was a January signing under David Moyes. And again, just not the best situation to
yeah.
walk into. The whole, I think we still have Kagawa at the club at that point in time
Yep.
too. I can't remember.
He goes out. He
So
went out the next year.
yeah, so we had Kagawa, we had Fellaini, and then Juan Mata coming into a system like that. It just wasn't like Moyes didn't really have a plan. But I mean, Juan Mata arrived in a helicopter like an absolute boss. I mean, tidy,
Oh yeah.
professional, classy. I mean, the nicest guy in football, just a class
Hmm.
act. Obviously, we remember him for Wanfield, as you can see from the photo. He scored a couple goals directly from free kicks. I remember. If you guys want to see an excellent piece of filthy skill, go YouTube his back heel assist for Chris Smalling. I think it was against Wolfsburg in the Champions League. go look at that and then just make sure the door's closed so no one sees the reaction. But it is an absolute piece of filth, that assist for Chris Smalling. He had 3 straight seasons with 10 goals in all competitions, so he's just a class act. I think he was coming off the back of being Chelsea's like player of the year or something as
Yep.
well when we signed him. So both of us had him in there. Box says Mata's helicopter entrance. Yeah, he was an absolute beast. Ashif says, Dallo, welcome back, Ashif. Has been a good pound for pound, a good idea. Pound for pound, I think you can't fault Dallo. I mean, he was injured when we signed him, I think, and then he went on loan for a season at Milan. But it was good. But big up, Ashif. Good to see you again. Danny's got Mata as at number 3. He's definitely, he was, I forget, I didn't really have these in any sort of order personally. I didn't really rank them. It's hard to, but Danny's got Ahmad as number 2. Interesting. I almost thought about Ahmad, but I'm like, we had him, and then he went on loan for like
Mhm.
2 seasons, and then he hasn't really played. He haven't really seen much from him until like late last year, and then this year a little bit. So I'm still waiting. I got to see it over a little bit more of a bigger sample size.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good shout. Good shout. Box is throwing out there: Bruno, Ibrahimovic, Mata, Herrera, Matic for Box. Big up. Couple of names we might be seeing here shortly. We'll see. Spoiler alert. Leonard says, all very good points, Christian. If we had got you a wee bit earlier and you had Wada, wow. And then
Man,
Box says,
can you imagine that midfield?
I mean, Christian Eriksen, man, prime Christian Eriksen, like he was Spurs. If there's a club that spends money worse than us, it's got to be Spurs, because when they spent that
Oh yeah.
Gareth Bale money, just like absolute idiots. Christian Eriksen is the best signing of that money.
Hmm.
Fox says Ahmad has potential. He's got potential. I need to see it a little bit more.
Yep.
I'm not saying anyone's right or wrong. It's just me personally. This is why I didn't go big for like Andrea Bellotti when he had a good season. Like, okay, you did it once. I gotta see. Let's see you do it again. Or Kieran McKenna with Ipswich. Like, cool, you got to the Premier League, big up, back-to-back promotions. Now let's see if you can stay here, and then we'll talk about potential. But that's just me. So, but yeah, Juan Mata. So far we got Bruno, Juan Mata on the list. Who's next? We both had
Yep.
Sergio Romero on our list. Look at that. This one is probably one that most people weren't prepared to see, but Sergio Romero, I think, is another one that goes under the radar. He may have been our backup keeper, but he was our Europa League keeper for that 16-17 Europa League winning season. He ended up finishing that Europa League campaign first for clean sheets. He had 8 clean sheets. Top for save percentage. He had an 88.9 save percentage in the Europa League that year. He played 61 games for United overall, and he had 39 clean sheets, which is an absolute madness, honestly.
Hmm.
I always felt he was a little too good to be a backup,
Oh yeah.
but not quite better than De Gea to ever be our number 1. But again, has there ever been a better backup goalkeeper ever in football?
There was a level of comfort that I always had when I was like, "Oh, Romero's in. It's fine." I
Yeah,
haven't got
exactly.
that sense. Like a little bit with Henderson for a little while, but then that kind of was hit and miss. And then Bayern, we just haven't seen enough. But it was like
Yeah.
when we saw Romero on the sheet in Europe, we're like, "Yep, that'll be fine. Yep, just everybody else worry about yourself."
Yeah, that was during that whole period, because he was signing for free. He was a free signing. I
Hmm.
think that's what contributes to this as well for me. And it was during that, because even Louis Van Gaal kind of alternated a little bit with keepers, and that was something that Van Gaal did quite frequently. Um, but yeah, like you're saying, I think I've started to feel that way about Bayindir recently, but then he picked up
Yeah.
his injury again. But I think that has more to do with just how bad Onana looks. Like anybody could look good compared to him, but yeah, I think Romero is another one who's at Boca now. He's still like, what, I think he's like 38 now.
Yeah.
But again, probably one of the best number 2s that I've seen in football in a long, long time. But let's see what everyone's saying in the chat box says. Oh my God, I forgot him. Yeah, I think a lot of people did. Box is a shame with the timing. If he came later, he'd be a stable number 1 for us now. Yeah, I mean, he'd be 38 now. And I know a lot of people, so this is going to go off on a little random tangent. Like a lot of people, when we've been linked to older, like Mike Magnon or something, um, or like the other dude, I think he's at Dortmund. I sometimes will not be so eager to get a keeper who's in their late 20s. And a lot of people will like, well, keepers, in their late 20s, that's still young for keepers. But I'm like, yeah, but how like we're gonna have to get another one in a couple years. I prefer someone who's in their like 23, 24, 25 reigns that we can keep for like 10 years
Hmm.
because it's just keepers are getting to be more and more expensive, and I just don't like with all the stuff we need. I like to have a position that's there for a minute. De Gea, 12 years. Like I like to do something like that. Again, that's just a personal preference though. It's not like a thing. Agile says Romero was a solid keeper and a good signing. Yeah, he was free. I think this was like again, Dylan and I didn't meet up ahead of time and go over the list. It was just sheer happenstance that we both happen to have Sergio Romero. What that tells you is Dylan and I. This is why Dylan and I get along, man. We we uh we think alike in a lot of ways.
I saw him on the list, and I go, "Holy crap! I forgot about Sergio." And I was like, "He has to
Sorry.
be on there."
Yeah. Danny's just still at Boca. Yep, he is still at Boca, man. Bach says when you compare him to some of the number ones and twos we've had, he's better than Howard, Foster, Carroll. Oh no, he's definitely better than Onana.
Oh yeah.
Not hard to do. Lindegaard. Yeah, he's definitely. We remember we had Victor Valdez here for a minute as well. That was random. So Sergio Romero gets our third spot in our five. Again, so far we've both been agree Bruno, Juan Mata, Sergio Romero. Again, not in any particular order. So now this is where we start to jump into the where we get a little separation here. So let's go into Dylan's first pick here that deviates. So your first pick, aside from those three, was Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
I loved Zlatan, just the whole personality, the effort, the drive, the work ethic. I mean, just why I'd keep an eye on him when he was at Milan and in the later careers, just see how he was doing. He was still putting up good numbers until right at the end, where injuries were really catching up with him.
Well, even at Galaxy, he showed up at LA Galaxy
Oh
and
yeah,
scored an absolute worldie.
oh he just for the time and just for everything that Mourinho, like Mourinho's coming in. You know, we signed Zlatan. Everything feels like it's on the up and up. I mean, he brought just the fire, the passion, um, to everything we that United needed at the time. Kind of gave us a bit of our personality back, a bit of who United are about
Yeah.
being this big club.
He was
And
about as close to a Cantona 2.0 as
100%,
you can get.
100%. And I was looking at some things about this. I forgot that he was there with Pogba.
Yeah.
And I noticed, I remember, I didn't hear a lot about Pogba during that time. So I get the feeling that he kind of kept Pogba in check because Pogba's not going to be a bigger personality than Zlatan.
Yeah, he was definitely the player who could handle not only the responsibility of United, but just almost a little bit of the responsibility of just the shit that was
Oh yeah,
going on around the club. Like he could carry a lot of that weight just with his ego and his personality alone. Um, it's a shame he was injured for that Europa League
yes.
final. It was a big summer though with Pogba, that was Mkhitaryan, that was
Mhm.
Zlatan. It was a big summer. It was probably one of our biggest summers in a while, aside from maybe this past summer, I'd argue. I like Ibrahimovic. I like him a
Yeah.
lot. I think for me, what kept him from my list was just I think it was more about what he represented, and that it was. I mean, he was free, so it is what it is. But it was like doing another striker in their 30s. But he had good goals. I didn't. Did you write down his output for that season? The new
Yeah,
season?
that his major season there, the one right before he got in, 28 goals, 8 assists during that season in 46 matches, altogether 29 goals, 9 assists in total for the season and a half he was there.
Yeah.
So,
The injury definitely hurt.
yep.
I think my one of my favorite recent Ibra memories is the full page ad he took out in the LA Times when he joined the Galaxy. It just said
That's
Los
awesome.
Angeles, welcome to Zlatan. It's like this. That's honestly, I wish if I had, I want to get a copy of that and frame it. That's probably the best thing.
Hmm.
It's just classic Ibra. There
Yep.
was, I think it was on Netflix. This was probably about 10 years ago. I watched it, but there was a documentary all about Ibrahimovic. Pretty cool little documentary. Obviously, his time at Malmo and everything
Hmm.
is highlighted in there. But he remind like I see every now and then I'll see flashes of prime Ibrahimovic in Xerxes when it comes to his close control and his dribbling because people forget. Yes, in his later years, like especially at PSG, Zlatan was just an absolute filthy
Oh yeah.
finisher in front of the goal. But in his early years at like Ajax and in Italy, he could dice people left and right in and around the box and create space for himself. He's so good with the ball at his feet. He's got a black belt in like martial arts, which is why he's so
Hmm.
good at some of the goals he scores, like that back heel. that back heel at PSG where he back heeled it behind the defender who was right on him was just, I've never seen anything
Yeah.
like that. The dude was just insane. Who even thinks of stuff like that? Bach says Ibra, old school professionalism with the class and the skill. Yeah. Again, it's just another case of had we gotten him like 3 or 4 years earlier,
Uh-huh.
it just it was
That
just
changes
what
everything.
what might have been. You have to stop playing the what if game though, because you'll just make
Hmm.
yourself crazy. Lionheart says I would put Zlatan together with Pogba in his first season. Their link up play was just class. But that's just my opinion. Yeah, I mean, I do miss Zlatan. I do miss his personality. Fox says Ibra. When Pep enters any room, it goes from sunshine to darkness. Oh yeah, he was at Barcelona too, and didn't Pep
Hmm.
like just not like him? Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what Pep does, though. Pep, and I saw a video on this the other day because there are managers who are starting to kind of bring back the flair and the individual creativity into football. Like the video was on Cesc Fabregas at Como, but like too many managers now have kind of looked at taken football away from that. Like Pep is the example that everyone gives, and they've turned it into just robots, basically. I
Hmm.
need this quality in this area of the pitch, and that's what you do at any given point. Like stand 2 inches this way, do this here, and it's just like this is why people get burnt out in City. This is why people find it boring to watch that, and obvious reasons. But Leonard says his overhead kick versus England. Yeah, I remember that making
That
Joe Hart look
that
like a
goal.
mug. I
Oh
was
my,
watching that. It was 2012 Euros, wasn't it? Was
I
that
think so.
2012? Yeah, maybe.
Something
Could
like
have
that.
been.
That was a wonder goal.
Could have
Holy
been.
crap.
Yeah, I remember that. And that's the kind of stuff that he could do, just because his with
Hmm.
his black belt and his coordination and stuff, he just can do that. So your first deviation pick was Ibra. Mine is Mazraoui. Now, some of you might say it's too soon for Maz to be on anyone's list, but is it? 15 million for such a cool, technical, class, quality player has to be one of the best deals that United or any club has ever done.
Versatile
Um,
too.
yeah, can play
Yep.
either side. Can play in center back. He's like in this system, he's going to be playing center back, but he was one of the best right backs in football when we signed him, and he
Hmm.
showed it right off the bat. It was like we signed him, and he immediately started like right away. Like we didn't have to worry about this betting in process. He was class from day one. He's had a couple matches, I think, where maybe he struggles against pacey wingers like Anthony Gordon or something, but
Hmm.
he's been one of our best players in a system that really doesn't offer his natural position, and he's looked fine ever since. Like he's a leader. I feel like on the pitch, he just does what needs to get done, and he has that bit of silk and class to his play. And again, some people might say that we're going for like I'm going too soon on him, but I don't think I am. Maybe this says more about the other players that we've signed in the last decade than it does about Maz, but um, I think that he's an absolute monster. Danny says we need to go get Cherky. You guys know how I feel about Cherky. I did include him on my list the other day simply because I just don't know if that's going to happen. Dortmund want him. Liverpool
Hmm.
heavily linked. I think that one might be too hard to get over the line. But honestly, if he is on our list, go pay money and get him because he would be absolute top class. And like I said in that video, Ahmad kind of clinched the spare Nippon for me. Danny says Leon couldn't afford St. Leon might not be able to afford much this summer. Obviously, they're playing hardball with Turkey because they let a couple players go like Kakare and stuff, but they are struggling. But yeah,
Yeah.
Mizraoui on my list. You can say it's too soon, but it's not for me. It's my list, so you're gonna have to deal with it. Let's move on to Dylan's last pick here.
El
Walk me
Matador.
through it. El Matador.
This was we needed a striker with Ole, and I remember we signed him in like class. Okay, coming from PSG. Okay, I wasn't as aware of the injury records. I don't watch French football, so
Nobody
you know
does.
I so that as the injuries piled up, I was like, man, that's hurting everything. And I think he was injured when he got here, and it took a little while to rehab. But the composure, it's kind of like Mata a little bit. The composure, the professionalism, the level of integrity he had for the game for his fellow players, and then just some of those efforts and wonder goals he had. The Everton strike in the League Cup to put us through, I think, quarterfinals against Don Carlo, because I was Everton were starting to be a thing.
I forget
Um,
that Carlo. I try to forget that. I'll try to move that out of my mind that he managed Everton.
the Southampton comeback from 2-0 down. I rewatched the highlights of that one yesterday just to put
Yeah.
myself back in that. The flying headers he would put through there, and then the half pitch volley against Fulham to kind
Yeah.
of on the final day. I mean,
That's the one that sticks out in my mind, I think, the
yeah,
most.
Cavani just. I mean, if we get him when he's younger, when he's not at Napoli, when he's not at PSG,
Yeah.
pair him with Zlatan, I think that could have been just a.
Yeah.
Oh, what a.
He was another one of those just similar to Ibra, like free signing, you
Yep.
know, so we just can keep avoiding having to pay big money because strikers are at a premium.
Yep.
So it was just another, and that's like I like he actually brought a little bit of prestige back to that number
Yep.
7 shirt for a minute, and I think that taking it off him to make room, I knew as soon as it was pretty much a done deal that we're getting Ronaldo that he was getting that number 7 shirt. I mean,
Yeah.
the CR7 is his literal trademark logo. You're not gonna not give him, and I
Yeah.
think that didn't sit right with Cavani. He started maybe picking up the little injuries here and
Yeah.
there, and not want. It was clear he just didn't want to play. And I think he didn't really like English football as much.
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't like England as much, but yeah, I like Cavani. I've always liked Cavani. I think he's a class player. It was so surprising to me how well he and Ibra did at PSG for so long.
Mhm.
But
He
agile. Go ahead, man.
okay. When we signed Ronaldo, I mean, I was happy we signed him, but I was also like, man, we were building something with Cavani there. That's gonna throw that off, and it did. And
Yeah,
like you were saying, Cavani, you could tell Cavani wasn't happy with it. He kind of wanted to leave. So yeah,
yeah. As Agile B says, Cavani was an amazing player. My God, we need a player like him now. Yeah, if we had just kept him another couple seasons and Rasmus
yep,
Cheeto could learn from him a little bit, just a little bit, and that's kind of like what I was hoping with Rude too. But
hmm
it's just not. But that's why we need an experienced striker. It's not that Hoyland needs to go. It's that Hoyland is just he's young, and we
yeah,
need someone who can on the even on the training pitch, just like that Hoyland can just ask, which be a sponge, Hoyland, and we don't have a player that he can do that with though. Why did you do this? How do you know to do like when did you like let's bring Berbatov back and let him be the striker coach
yeah.
for a
There
hot
you
second,
go.
man. Like,
I love
can we
Mason
just
Burba.
can we just do that? That would be excellent. Box says, yeah, Cavani is at Boca. Yeah, he's another one at Boca. Rojo, Romero, Cavani. Yeah, Boca is basically just the retirement community for United players, apparently.
I
Oh,
hear I hear
what?
Vardy's going to be leaving soon. We could get him as our striker.
I mean, why not? I mean, that suits the thing. I mean, Jonathan David's like the one free agent striker I wouldn't mind us getting.
Yeah.
So your picks are Bruno, Mata, Sergio Romero, Zlatan, Cavani.
hmm
My picks are Bruno, Juan Mata, Sergio Romero. Who was my other one?
Nucera Masraoui.
Mazraoui, and then my final pick, Ander Herrera. So you had him in your honorable mention. He's he's probably, if I had to rank these, he would be like just behind Bruno for my rankings.
I get it.
There are no words for what I would do or how much I would spend to have a prime Ander Herrera at United right now, right this second. I think the way he plays suits this system to a T for one of those midfield pivot roles. He can run for days. He covers every blade of grass. He'll do any job you ask him to do. He can pass. He can tackle. He could stick to you like glue. Like I remember he marked Eden Hazard out of the game in one of those cup games, and I'm like, there's also no words to describe the rage that I experience when I think of why we let him go for free and how all that went down. Just he's just everything you need right now.
hmm
Leadership, mentality. Like I could go on for days about the
100%.
cult hero that is Ander Herrera. He's up there with like Park Ji Sung for the
hmm
cult hero status. I consider him a United legend just for getting Steven Gerrard sent off in less than a minute.
That was
in
awesome.
that was the Wanfield match too. That was the same match.
hmm
Oddly enough, so just for that alone, I'm like, no, build him a statue. You got Stevie G sent off in a minute, build him a statue. I don't care. Um, Box totally agrees. Yeah, Ander Herrera, like literally there are no words. It's not that I'm struggling to find them. The words don't exist for what I have to say. Like
Yep.
anyone who's watched United for a while will just know what I mean when I say that. When it comes to Ander Herrera, the guy is just prime. Herrera would be absolutely perfect for this system. For
He
this,
fit so well in this team, and like I said before, I would have put him on mine, but I saw you had yours.
Yeah, yeah.
when we did it right before the picks, and I was like, perfect. So that's
Yeah, he is one of my favorite players that we've
yeah.
ever had. He's just I can't even. Yeah, I what I like. I can't. I'm stumbling over words because I don't have any. Um, I almost cry sometimes thinking about just Herrera when he was here. Like he wasn't the silkiest. He wasn't like he was doing anything that was gonna like put him on a poster. But I'm like, he is. There's no manager in football who wouldn't give their right arm to have someone like Ander Herrera in their
Oh yeah,
squad.
100%.
Um, yeah, and he's just he gets it. He get it. What he's I mean, he's still a red through and through. Even when you hear him talk about United, like so. So those are our picks. Let me put this back here. Boom. So Juan Mata. Oh, sorry, Bruno Fernandes, Juan Mata, Sergio Romero. You had Cavani and Ibra. I had Mazraoui and Ander Herrera, and those are my five best signings in my opinion. Your five best signings post Fergie. Obviously Bruno's pretty much everybody's best signing. I want to hear your guys's though. What would you? Some of you listed them already in the chat. Some of you like threw Ahmad out there as well. Like, there's no wrong answer. These are just
Hmm.
entirely up to you. Like, as you can see from that list we put up to start, we've signed a lot of players, like 60 some odd players, um, that have come and gone since Ferguson got here. And this summer has been pretty good. Obviously, one of my picks we just signed this summer, and he's been that well. So I'm eager to see what we do next.
Hmm.
In the summer, we've got a big rebuild that we need to start. I don't think it will take a lot to get that started on the best foot. Obviously, that video I did the other day for a budget. It started as a 200 million and I did it for like less than 130 million. It's not hard to do with a little bit of aggression and assertiveness in negotiations, with a little bit of actual scouting and just a little bit of creativity, thinking outside the box. You can get some deals done and it wouldn't take a lot. And with all that implemented into the transfer strategy, the rebuild doesn't have to take 3 or 4 years. It can take 3 or 4 windows, and I'm including January in that as well. It doesn't take a lot. Leinart says, "Wait a second. Where's Di Maria? Where is Di Maria? Indeed, can you tell me where Di Maria is right now? He was on some people's worst signing. We started with our three worst signings, and we had Anthony Sancho, Mason Mount, and Alexis Sanchez. You put on there too.
Yeah.
Um, Box says Fernandez, Ibrahimovic, Mata, Herrera, Matic. Honorable mentions Ronaldo, Cavani, Romero. Yeah, Daily Blind's a good shout. I did like Daily Blind as well. It's so funny. Daily Blind he was a left back for the Netherlands. He was a center defensive mid, and then we played him at center back, and he was probably one of our better center backs
Hmm.
as well. And then he went to Ajax and got like a hat trick immediately after going back. I think he's at Girona now. Daily Blind, looking more and more like his dad every single day. Box is great shout, Rob. Forget him as well. Yeah. So, what are you guys? Oh, you know what we should do before you guys keep getting your thoughts in, because we meant to do this last time and I completely forgot. Question from a stinky old boot. I'm gonna shake this up. Dylan, you ready to do a question from a
I'm
boot?
I'm ready.
Are you guys ready? I'm not gonna look. Hold on. Box says Van de Beek was a sad signing, to be honest. So much promise in
Yeah,
that Ajax team and career completely gone. Yeah, Ollie pretty much ruined. I blame Ollie for that. I don't know. Some
Ollie
people
never
can.
wanted him. He just kind of got stuck with him.
He was
He's
just
just
the
a
wrong
champion.
player for that system. He's not a counterattack
Yeah.
player. If we would have got him for Ten Hag, even now, if we would have got him, the way he plays in those channels, the way he wants the ball, wants to get involved. So,
Yep.
but all right, questions from a boot. This is kind of a cheating one, but that's okay. Um, I'll put it up to the camera. Can you guys see it?
Not really.
Are Arsenal fans the worst? Oh, get your thoughts in. Are Arsenal fans the worst?
Seems like it. Like
Yeah.
I can't. I mean, there's a
Um,
there's no City fans, so you can't include them.
yeah.
Tottenham fans are always sad. Liverpool fans, but yeah, Arsenal fans just kind of think they've won a couple of leagues and they're the greatest team ever, and like you haven't won a league since '04. So
Yeah, I think Arsenal fans are the worst because personally, if you watch any of them online, they're the worst. They talk a lot of big game when their team starts well the first half of the season, and then it dips, and then it swiftly goes from we're winning the league to trust the
yeah,
process, and it's
every
just
time.
no one's ready to have a serious conversation about Arteta. now they're going. It started all over again now that they've got this new director of football in and Edu's gone. Then they're like, yes, we're going to start. Like, what were the last 5 seasons about then? Like, what the hell? um,
Finally going to get that striker they've been talking about for the last 3 seasons.
I'm like, this is ridiculous, man. Bach says Arsenal fans are up there, but would probably lean towards Liverpool. Liverpool fans, you'll notice Liverpool fans become quiet once it looks like they're winning something. Every single match Liverpool plays, their fans like to downplay the result, even if it's against someone shit, just so they can seem like they overcame the odds and they're a good team. And anytime a team beats Liverpool, like PSG, that team is the team that's going to go on to win that
Yep.
competition because that they have to be the best in order to beat Liverpool. Like, no, that's not how it works. Liverpool fans are the quietest when they're about to win something, and then when they're struggling, it was worse under Jurgen Klopp because then it was Paul Tierney's fault. It was 12:30 kickoff fault. It was the grass is too wet, grass is too dry. Fucking Jurgen Norbert Klopp blamed witches one day for that shit, man. It was ridiculous. Remember, he blamed our injuries once for why they struggled against us in a match.
I
Our
remember that.
injured players made it hard for them to plan. Like, fuck off, man. I can't stand Jurgen Klopp. Like, and I felt like I was taking crazy pills for so many years because no one else saw it. And I'm like, no, Jurgen Klopp is an absolute prick.
Yeah.
Now he's out here doing stupid bullshit commercials, looking like an absolute idiot. He says, yes, 100%. Yes, they are. Bach says, I find Barca fans quite. I don't really know any Barca fans. Aren't
I know
Barca
a few
fans
at the
tiny?
school. Some of them they're quite arrogant.
Yeah.
I can agree with that one.
Justin and I used to try to play a drinking game where when you're watching any other game, like that's not even in La Liga, and you'd play a drinking game of how many Barcelona jerseys do you see in the crowd? You take a drink. That was a fun. You end up drunk before the opening
For
whistle.
halftime. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Rob says Wenger was a whinger, and the Arsenal fans are the same. Thankfully, they get cocky and let down over and over. Jay says Arsenal and Tottenham fans share the same IQ. We're getting a lot of more discussion out of this than I thought there. This was kind of a joke. Should we do one more? Or do you think that's fine?
Oh, sure. Let's do another one.
All right, we'll
It'll
do that.
make up for the one we missed last time. So.
Oh yeah, we didn't. Yeah, you're right. Good call. See, so, teacher. What's this one say? Oh, speaking of Arsenal though, so this one says, I don't know if I'll put it up. I don't know if you guys can read it still. Probably not. Will Manchester United win the league before Arsenal?
It's at this point, it's very possible because gosh, this is what 3 years in a row now they've bottled it.
Yeah,
I don't know if they have the players to actually get over that hump. I don't even think they have the mentality to.
I'm gonna
So
put it. I'm gonna put it in the chat and let people let me know.
nice.
So yeah, the last question we just pulled from the booth: will Man United win the league before Arsenal? Because I do think Arsenal's best chance was within the last couple of years. I think that was probably their best shot. I think some of their players are probably starting to kind of. I think honestly, I was telling to Justin all the time. I'm like, honestly, if Real Madrid came calling for Odegaard, he would leave Arsenal tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
Um, I think some of their players are starting to like, and they've just people aren't ready to like talk about it, but they've not signed. They've not done very good business.
No.
In the Calafiore coming off the back of an interesting summer, obviously was the big talk. They still have, I think, Kieran Tierney there,
Mm-hmm.
Tomiyasu. They've got these players and Ben White. Where the hell is Ben White?
I forgot Ben White was there.
Is
Holy
he
crap.
injured? Like I don't know where he even is
Yeah.
these days. They obviously Kai Havertz, I think, was just not a great signing. Gabriel Jesus not a good signing. Like they haven't done that well, so I don't know why they're getting gassed up about like the signings and stuff that they're making. But let's see what we say here. Jay says probably not. Fox says could be a never-ending race for both teams. I mean, as long as City and Liverpool are still here, I think Liverpool are going to struggle though once they lose a couple of these key players that like Salah, Van Dijk,
Mm-hmm.
Trent as well, and Allison. Probably we'll see how they do after they lose those because Liverpool did what we probably could. Like we talked about this last time, what we probably could have done had we brought in Jose
Yeah.
immediately after Frigate. We probably could have gotten another league out of that squad. under Jose than trying a whole nother rebuild right off the bat with Moist, because it wasn't even a real rebuild. He got one player.
Yeah.
Rob doesn't have any confidence in either. I think the league will be wide open next season. Jay says, like they always say, next season. 21's coming, guys. Box, the Saka's injury has shown the clear flaws in their attack. Yeah, I mean, thankfully it's allowed them to get a couple other youngsters in, like Lewis Skelly, Nwaneri. That I think that's only good for them, because I don't think Martinelli has ever looked the real deal. He gives me Lingard vibes a little bit.
Thank you. I've
Yeah,
been trying to figure out what vibes he's been giving me.
well, it's just
Thank you.
the young guy that they promoted. That's like
Yeah.
he'll show up here and there. He had a like a purple patch, and then he's just not really doesn't really do it for me. But
Yep.
I'm not an Arsenal fan, so I don't care. But yeah, some of these questions are just fun. So 100% you guys in the poll say United will win the league before Arsenal. Yeah, next season. Yeah. Trust the process, right? So you guys get your thoughts in on the chat on your top signings post Fergie. Dylan and I obviously shared ours. We also shared our 3 worst signings as well. So if you weren't able to catch the live, get involved in the comments. You guys know I look at the comments. Please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and if you like these kind of shows, these kind of topics, and you want to either have a say in what we do, or if you want to possibly join us virtually, because that's an option too, go check out the memberships and learn more on how to do that. Dylan, any final thoughts before I let you get going and enjoy your time off?
It was a pleasure. I really enjoyed this video. This was fun. I
Yeah,
love
I
doing
do
these
like these
types of
videos.
videos. So
It's fun to break up the monotony of international break, because we're going to be jumping right back into the busy season starting. I think like Bundesliga already starts on like Thursday or Friday and
yeah.
whatnot. So it's just jumping right on. There's no time to waste. We got a match. We got a hard run of games coming up. We've got Forest, we've got City, we've got Lyon, and then we've got Newcastle back to back to back to back. So this is going to be a real test for us.
Newcastle's still going to be drunk, so we'll be fine.
If I had to pick right now, win, we're going to win one, we're going to draw one, we're going to lose one of the league games, not the Lyon match, but the league games. What do you think that out of those 3, the City, Forest, Newcastle?
Probably win versus City,
Yeah,
draw with Newcastle, or draw with Forest, and lose at Newcastle.
yeah, yeah. There's City look beatable right now. Newcastle, I think. Yeah, they're obviously they just coming off a high after
Yep.
beating Liverpool. That was such a shit match. Liverpool was so shit. Rob says Anthony Gordon is injured. Interesting.
Oh
Are we
yeah,
sure he's injured, or is he just faking it, like rolling around on the ground like he likes to do? So cool, man. Well, I'm gonna let you get going. I'm gonna go do some stuff too, but I appreciate you as always, Dylan, taking the time. I know you got a lot going on. Dylan's up north. He's got his own class to work on as well. I've got to meet my class here in about an hour or so. We got to go over a paper. So that'll be fun. So, but I do appreciate you guys all stopping by. Dylan, as always, say goodbye to everyone, bud, and I will see you sometime soon, hopefully.
Yeah. Thanks, Sean. Really appreciate it. Have a good one, everybody. Thanks for joining the chat. This was fun.
Yep. Take it easy, guys. We will see you guys on the next one. When that is, I couldn't tell you, but we'll see you soon. Later.